Okay, last time we ended up, after we put together the HTML and CSS with a page that looks kind of like this. It's just sort of a random color scheme right now. We haven't done anything really with colors, with fonts. What you also have done by now is to work with all your images. So you should actually have more images than I do right here in the images folder. I just have a couple, and then you should have gotten the logo for RISC, the organization that we're doing this for, by now, and then also the Word document that has all the content for all the pages. And before we start throwing the content in the pages, what we need to do is get this thing ready to duplicate to make all our pages, which is going to go really fast and easy. In fact, most of the stages of the rest of this thing go pretty quick, and you can really see progress, and it really starts to look nice. So this is kind of the fun part. If you got this far, you're through the hard part, which was all the HTML and CSS. So good job. So here, what I have done, this is our layout the last we saw it, but I've done some things to it that you should do first. So one of them is the title. I went ahead and said Home Invasive Species Awareness in Action. And I put in this H1 at the top in the header div, Invasive Species Awareness in Action. It's an H1. Okay. This is all still the same in the content area. The menu, I changed the names. These are the invasive species that we're going to be using. So you have a home page and then 5 other pages. So you should change your names to each of these. You don't have to do them in this order, but these are the ones you should do. I basically did them in this order so that they would get bigger as they went down. And then you also need to make each one a link. And we're going to make these links to certain pages using certain names ahead of time before those pages actually exist. And that way we can just duplicate this page over and over again to make all your other ones. And as long as we name each new page according to the way we did it in the menu, then we don't have to redo the menu on every single page. So it seems kind of backwards, but it's going to make this easier. So select, like once you get these typed in, select home, and then I'm naming my home page invasivehome.html down here in the link. And then when I save, I just need to save my home page as invasivehome.html so it matches up. And then Asian carp, I named it asiancarp.html. Names for images and also web pages tend to not have any spaces in them, and they definitely don't have any special characters. Those things can kind of mess up links and things on the web. So zebra mussel, I just took, and I did all lowercase also, just so there's no question, did I make it uppercase or lowercase? I'm just doing them all lower. Right, Africanized bee. So I just ran them together, no space, all lowercase, no special characters, .html. And then the thing is, I just have to remember how I did this. When I save each one, I just need to check before I name them. Also, I brought in one of my RISC logos. One of them smaller than the other. And for just this purpose, I thought, well, maybe I'm going to have mine in the sidebar. So I'm going to use the small one. If I wanted it in a different place, maybe I would use the other one, use the bigger one. It's totally up to you where you put it. I just put it right there for now. And then the other thing we're going to do before we keep going here is the footer. And the information you're supposed to have in the footer is your name, and then the hour that you have this class and your home teacher. Don't really need a period after that. And then instead of just typing the date like I did right here, we're going to do something to make Dreamweaver automatically update the date every time we save this thing, which is kind of nice. So I'm going to actually delete the date that I have there. After my teacher's name right there, I'm doing Shift-Enter, which is the same thing as adding in a BR tag, or it's just going to the very next line. If I hit Enter, it would insert a P tag, which would give us a blank space. And then I'm going up to Insert, and then right in the middle, choose Date. And then you can choose the format that you want. I'm just going to choose this top one. Some of these will seem kind of backwards, and you have to think about them a little bit, because other countries, sometimes they put the day first, sometimes they put the month first. You don't need to do the time. And then the main thing to make this work so that it does it automatically is to check this box. Otherwise it won't work. So then you hit OK, and it puts today's date in there. And then if you open this up again tomorrow and then save it, it'll actually change it to tomorrow's date. So you've got all that in the footer. You've got a logo in there somewhere. Excuse me. You've got your menu with the links down here. You've got a header and you've got a title. Okay, once you have all that stuff, then let's go ahead and save the home page. And so I'm clicking on home and looking at what I saved it, invasivehome.html. In fact, I think I could even copy and paste this just to make sure I get it right. So I'm going to do Command C. And then we're just going to keep doing save as to save this. In fact, I'm going to save this one more time as just layout HTML, which was what it was called before, just so I have kind of a backup copy. Okay, so there's that. And now I'm going to go save as. And this should be going into the same site folder, which it is. And now I'm going to select that and then paste. Oh, paste doesn't work. Okay, sorry, we got to type it. Wishful thinking. Invasive home is what I called it, I believe. All right, invasivehome.html. Hit save. And there it is. Okay. So that's my home page. For my next one, asiancarp.html. So I'm going File, Save As, asiancarp.html, save, and then I'm going to go check which my next link is, zebramuscle.html, so I'm going to go File, Save As, zebramuscle.html, and so on for all your pages. And then you can go in and change the content on each page. And notice Dreamweaver keeps them open in tabs up here. They all look alike because right now they are. And so what I'm going to do is close my layout one because it's just a backup. Okay, and I'm going to, on the home page, we got home invasive species awareness for the title. And that needs to stay. I'm going to close Zebra Muscle, and I'm just going to demonstrate this with one page, and then you can do all the rest. So on asiancarp.html, instead of home for the title, this should say Asian Carp. The name of the site stays the same, so that doesn't change. And then what needs to change is all of this content in here. So I'm just going to delete all that. And I'm going to go to my Word document that has all the content for Asian Carp. And I'm copying all of that on that page, including the links down at the bottom and the name Asian Carp at the top. So I'm doing Command C, back to Dreamweaver, and inside this content box, Command V, and it looks like that. Okay, and then fixing this up is actually pretty quick. So this is probably going to be an H1. The top heading is usually H1. We'll make it, when we do the CSS coming up, we'll make this H1 look different than this one, okay, because they really shouldn't be the same. And then this is probably an H2 for about, impacts, what can be done, and then probably links. And maybe we want one for video. That's kind of up to you. Got an extra space there. Okay. Or if you want to do like H2 for your main one up here, and then H3s for all these, you can do that. And we're when we do the CSS later, we can change the size of these, the font, the color, all that kind of stuff. We're not worrying about that right now. We just want the content in there. So there's that. If you're going to have a couple of pictures on this page, at least one. So, and you can always move it, but just to show you how to drag it in there. So here's my, I happen to have two. So where I'm talking about impacts, one of the problems with these fish is they jump clean out of the water. So I'm going to drag carp jumping JPEG into here, which is one of my images that I resized and cropped. And I'm going to say carp jumping for the alt text. Okay, and there it is. And I'm not going to worry about the wrapping and stuff right now. Although you can go over, actually we already have this CSS class in there. You can set it to either float image left or float image right, whichever way you want it. Okay, I'm not going to worry about this kind of coming up next to it, this next section, which we may or may not want it to do that. I've also got another image. I'm going to drag over there. I'm just going to say Asian carp. And so maybe I'll float this one left. Okay, and when we make our headers or heading CSS, we'll see how to add a CSS in these that jumps past any floats, so we won't have two sections wrapping up next to an image like that, although there's not really anything wrong with that. For links, all you're going to do is actually make these given links into links right here. So Asian carp is the name of the site or the name of the page, and then you're just going to have this link and copy it, and then with it highlighted, go down into the link box, Command V, and on these links we want them to open on a new page. So we're going to go to Target and choose blank, and that makes them open in a new tab actually, or a new browser window. And then this one came in as a link already, so but I'm going to redo it just to make sure. Command C, Command V, have it come up in a new browser window. You don't do the blank target on the menu, just on external links like this. Okay, so there's those. And then the YouTube video, what you're going to do is grab that URL and actually go to YouTube. Just paste it in your address bar. Here's the video. Okay, and then what we're going to do is go to Share. And we don't want this link, that's what we already got. What you're going to do is embed. We're going to embed this video on our page. And remember that content area was 720 pixels across, so I'm going to see what the size options are here. So I think I can go 640 by 480. And I don't want it to suggest other videos or any of that stuff, so I uncheck that. And I'm just going to grab all three lines of that code. This is an iframe, which is an inline frame or an embedded frame. And then this has to go in the code, not in the design view. So I've got this highlighted, and I go to code view and it's still highlighted, so I can kind of see where it is. All right, and then instead of that link, I'm just going to delete it. I'm going to paste in the iframe code. Okay, so there it is right there after my thing that says embed the video, which actually we don't want anymore either. That was just an instruction to you. Okay, so then there's my video. If you don't want it that big, you can get one of the other sizes. Okay, so then all the content's in there, and we're going to worry about the way it looks coming up, because when we edit the CSS, that'll fix all our pages at once. So I'm going to save and preview the page just to see what I've got. And so here it is. Okay, I think what's happening is the school district blocking software is keeping us from seeing a YouTube video embedded in a page for some reason. So this may or may not happen to you. Maybe it's just happening on my machine. So that's basically it to get all the content in your page, the links, the video, the text, the images, and keep going and do this for all the rest of your pages as well, and then we'll come back and make this start looking nice.